Carbon War Room is contributing to more sustainable shipping industry by creating and advancing profitable solutions to climate change through many opportunities in efficiency, both technical and operational, that can bring profits to the industry today. And the solutions that we're proposing, the industry can become very sustainable more quickly.
One of the major projects that we've been working on is called the Greenhouse Gas Emissions Rating, which we co-developed with RightShip, which rates vessels based on their design efficiency from A to G, A being the most efficient and G being the least efficient. With this rating, we now have 20% of global tonnage shipped using the rating, which is over 2 billion tons of cargo. That's one of our major successes along with RightShip in the past few years. We're also working with a number of other stakeholders, including owners, charterers and banks, to provide similar sorts of energy efficiency solutions to the shipping industry.
Well, depending on the industry stakeholder, there's a number of tools either in the marketplace now or that are going to be coming to the marketplace to allow them first to understand the efficiency of vessels and the efficiency of the vessels serving their operation. As Phoebe mentioned before, the first tool that they can look at is the Technical Efficiency Index that RightShip developed and we've co-marketed with the Carbon War Room and RightShip. So understanding your ship's technical efficiency. The next thing you can do is understand your vessel's operational efficiency. It's one of the big conversations the IMO right now is an MRV program. How do you monitor, report, and verify operational efficiency? So ever since the SEMP came out, many industry players, both ship managers, ship owners, have a much better sense of their operational efficiency, and there's a great deal that we can learn in advance in energy efficiency through those means.
So building on what Galen said, we also have developed, so if any owner, charterer, bank, financier, whoever it may be, wishes to come and speak with us, we are able to discuss in much more detail about all the sorts of energy efficiency options that are available. But one very successful measure that's been put forward recently is a deal between the owner Harmonia and the charterer Intermarine, who negotiated a retrofit clause which enabled them to share the savings from applying retrofit efficiency technologies to Harmonia's 3 vessels, which are projected to deliver 26% energy efficiency savings. And so this is an example of how owners and charterers can work together to ensure that they are able to deliver profitable low carbon solutions in the short term. So that's an example of key work that we've been doing now and that we're trying to promote other charterers and owners doing to advance this low carbon economy and also ensure that they are profitable in the meantime.
Yeah, this is an excellent example of how Carbon War Room approaches the industry. We do it in collaboration, we do it with an industry focus on what benefits both the industry and the environment. And what Phoebe was telling you about the Harmonia project we does highlights 2 very important things we do. One is we want to point out the industry leaders. The second is that we want to develop tools and techniques that will apply to the entire industry. So the one of the mechanisms that we used with the Harmonia, the retrofit clause that we put in the charter, that was put in the charter party agreement, gets over the split incentive. This is something that could potentially be applied to other charter party agreements. So tools for everybody to use, then highlighting industry leaders is.
One final point on that is that another major thing about what the Carbon War Room does is really acting as a convening capacity. So for the various measures and tools that are developed by industry stakeholders, we're able to shine a light on them and then connect the key people within the industry who otherwise might not necessarily be talking to one another to accelerate these sorts of solutions.
We issued a statement in the wake of COP21 noting that we were disappointed that shipping was not included in the agreement. Now, that mirrors a lot of disappointment from other stakeholders in the industry and generally a lack of understanding and importance put on the shipping industry by the world. Now, moving forward, it won't matter significantly that shipping wasn't included in the COP agreement because, as the industry and IMO said leading up to that, IMO should be leading the process of developing greenhouse gas targets and greenhouse gas mitigation efforts for the industry. And they've started on this process, albeit very slowly, but they're intent on making very good progress in the meantime. And if that happens, the world will say, yes, that's exactly what we should have done. Didn't need to be in the COP agreement. IMO can take care of it. Now, if IMO starts moving slowly, we don't see any progress in the next several MEPC cycles, as we didn't see much progress in the previous one, then the world will come back in and say, well, maybe we should have put it in the COP21 agreement, and maybe we'll put it in a future agreement because IMO is not acting effectively. One of the things that we heard in Posidonia here earlier this week is that if we don't have industry action, IMO action on greenhouse gas targets and measures, we're going to devolve into patchwork of regulatory actions taken by nations. And if we have this patchwork, it's going to be chaos for the industry. So even though the industry generally doesn't like new environmental regulations, they know that we need greenhouse gas regulations. They know the industry needs to do something, and it's much better to have action taken quickly and consistently at the IMO level than to let it drag on and to have both uncertainty in the industry and have other nations take action independently.
The only thing I would add to what Galen has said is that in our interactions and conversations with various people from the shipping industry, setting carbon targets is something that the industry does want, to be able to incentivize them to move down this path towards energy efficiency and more and stronger measures on carbon. And so there is that demand for it, and we're really hoping to see that that will continue. And one other thing to say is that there is very much a business case for these sorts of carbon targets, to set clear and consistent regulation that will enable these profitable solutions to be taken in a way that is good for the industry and also good for the environment.
I think we're most qualified to talk about MRV and EEDI and low fuel prices, because we're the carbon war room. We don't look much at the conventional pollutants, even though we track them just because all environmental regulations are important. But one thing that we talk about a lot is the role of low fuel prices. Everybody says, well, ships don't want to retrofit if the fuel prices are low. This is exactly the time to retrofit before the fuel prices rise again. Invest the extra capital that you might have because operations are costing a little bit less with lower fuel prices, and buffer against future regulation changes, future higher oil prices, and future public opinion.